Okay, I don't normally cover recalls, but this is a big one. Yeah, hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and in my opinion, I think Toyota just recalled every new third generation gasoline Tundra they have ever built. Looking at the numbers, this is a big deal. This is the biggest recall I've seen from Toyota. It doesn't involve airbags or a frame in recent memory. So let's get the details. It's going live. It's all over the place on Facebook right now and all over the place in forums. It's just spiraling out of control at the moment. It's the news is out there. So Toyota launched a press release from their press room, and it talks about recalling the certain model year Toyota Tundra and Lexus LX models. And I got the details for you here, plus some more details on the cost of these recalls. Okay, so what they're talking about here is they're going to recall nearly 100,000 Toyota Tundras between 2022 model year and 2023 model year. They're also going to recall some Lexus LX models as well that have a similar engine to the Tundra. And the press release says there's a possibility that certain machining debris may have not been cleared from the engine when it was produced. In the involved vehicles, it's going to lead to potential engine knocking, engine rough running, engine no start, or a loss of motive power. A loss of motive power while driving at higher speeds can increase the risk of crash. So yeah, obviously you lose power, you try to get over. I mean, you're in high speed. Lots of bad things can happen. It's not a good thing. And this is where I'm kind of going a little bit on the my mind spinning a little bit on this because I've been watching various forums and Facebook groups for the last couple of months. I'm pretty involved in all the forums I can get onto, including my own forum, and I try to be involved in Facebook groups too. So what's going on, what people are talking about, and there have been many reports of a spun engine bearing. I actually talked to the car carrier net about this, about the spun engine bearing issue, and we talked a little bit trying to figure out like what's going on and how many vehicles are impacted. And so looking at this bearing can lead to a complete engine failure, and many suspect this recall is related to that. So they're talking about the big one. Anywhere you look on Facebook, anywhere you look at forums, this is a big recall. And why is this such a big recall? Well, if you look at the numbers, Toyota sold 125,185 Toyota Tundra trucks last year total, and 36,215 in the first quarter of 2024. I know that because what I do, boom, I always put out sales numbers. I love sales numbers because I can go back, look back in time. So looking at this numbers, 125,185, and then through quarter one, if I close my search bar here, they had 36,215. So they've sold quite a bit of these Tundras, and they're recalling 100,000. Now, looking at Lexus LX sales, they're total less than 3,000 since the beginning of 2023. So my estimate here is they've sold about 160,000 Tundras, and they're recalling 100,000 of those in the past year and a half. Now, they're not recalling the hybrid version, which is kind of interesting. The hybrid is not part of this recall. So I don't know if they're built in different lines or how that's figured out, but the same engine, just the hybrid has a battery component to it. And so it's a pretty interesting story on this. But what is even more interesting is people talk to me all the time about, Tim, these EV batteries are so expensive to replace these batteries, like $30,000. Well, that's how much engines cost to replace these days. So if you look at this, I have a parts inventory here. This is from a gentleman who had his Tundra already engine replaced. And there have been already engines replaced in the 2022 model year, 2023. And I've seen some 2024 models have an engine issue as well. So if you scroll through this and you look at the total list price, we have a subtotal of 22,162, and that's MSRP. And then we have the price for the dealership. And then other pricing, another $1,249. So basically, we have about $23,000 there for the cost of the engine. Now, go ahead and tack on another $6,500 because that's how much the labor cost. Because you're going to do a full cab off, right? So the Toyota Tundra, Ford F-50, Chevy Silverado, all these trucks are built for the cab to come off. That freaked people out when they had the wastegate issue and affected the first 100 or so Tundras that came out in 2022. And so you're right, take the whole cab off. A whole new engine is going to go in, mate transmission. What's great is with new modern trucks is the wiring harness is basically a plug and unplug situation. So there's not much concern there, but I'm concerned about how much the cost is going to be. So if you have 100,000 trucks and it's $30,000 per truck, numbers get really expensive real fast. And if you remember on this channel, I had a 2022 Toyota Tundra. I had a truck that was impacted by this recall that I had bought. And I sold it last year, or was it the year before? I bought the Silverado because I go through trucks for the channel. It makes a lot of sense building it for content creation for this channel. But I feel like I dodged a bullet because engine replacement, it's not just the cost of it. It's the time without your truck. This is not a simple just type the computer in and swap things around issue. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they're going to narrow down how many trucks are actually affected by the VIN, figure out when they were built in the plant. They can figure out when the bins went through. They can match up timing, figure out when the debris was there. Hopefully it wasn't a multi-month debris situation. Hopefully it was a day, an hour, or whatever. They can get this down. But they're recalling all of them. So it could be a really massive recall. And it could give a lot of remedy to those owners who have had their trucks up on the tow truck and going dealership with failures going on. Now, again, this doesn't impact the hybrid, which is kind of an interesting question. And for those who don't know Tundra's history and Toyota's history, the 5.7 had some issues back in the day as well. So this stuff happens. It happens in all automakers. This is not picking on Toyota. I'm just saying, wow, when you recall that many and you haven't built that many, that's a pretty big recall. What do you guys think? Big comments down below. I'll be curious what you guys have to say. And for more chicken videos over here, over here. I do it differently every day. Website down below as well, pickuptrucktalk.com. And details over there, including that post. I'll put a link to it in the comments and put a link to it in the description of the video. So if you don't want to listen to me talk and you want to see it in your own eyes, check it out over there. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.